Doing some lobster scouting and some spearfishing out here. John's about to jump in and check this big, pretty rock. Looks good. Looks like a decent spot. What do you see? Big black. Woo! Alright. Time to call in the cavalry. Jake's coming after. Hey guys. I gave a lesson on how to shoot a black grouper in a rock yesterday, and after I did it, I realized that I needed to do it on my film. So here it is.
I saw him on my side. I haven't seen him since that first time I scared him a little.
So just about every time we stop to spearfish somewhere, if it's a spot that's pretty localized, I'll chum the area. Whether it's lobster heads from the day before, or mahi fillets, or whatever we've got on the boat that's bloody and stinks and can get the area kind of excited. Throw that in the water before you ever get in the water. Again, the sharks are going to show up and mess with it, but mostly just nurse sharks and small, reef sharks and whatnot. So just go ahead and, you're going to increase your chances of killing fish, and you're going to see the sharks regardless. So it's not like it's going to make the dive more dangerous. Then, once you get off into that rock, and he's got a big grouper in it, and well, let me talk about rocks first.
We might have to put a box of chum out.
So as far as rocks go, some rocks are different than the other rocks, but the main thing you want to know about rocks is if you're not sticking your head up into the hole, you're not looking in the rock. You can't look in a rock from 5 feet away from it. So I see guys that go down and they dive down and they're looking in the rock, and the rock's way over here, and they got the gun like this. You ain't looking at nothing because there's a shadow right there at the edge of the rock. So you ain't seeing what's going on in there. What you got to do, but look, get down to that rock. This is how I hunt rocks. I got my hand on the trigger like this, my thumb. So if I'm going down to shoot, I'm going to go ahead and take it off safety. Then I'm putting my thumb on the trigger right here, okay? So, you gotta go. Is this number. I'm diving down, I've got the gun loaded, and I'm looking in the rock with the gun. Most of the time, I mean, the gun doesn't weigh anything, so it's not like it's hard to hold it there. And you're just steering it into the rock, and you're looking with the barrel of the gun. So I'm grabbing a hold of the rock, pulling myself down in the rock, aiming the gun into the rock as I scrape through there, sticking back into that thing. Because after you break through that shadow, it's like not having the sun in your eyes anymore, and it's just like everything in there lights up, and you can see all up in the holes, and then you can see the tail over there wagging where he's hiding, and look in every direction you can, and then if you see him, then you can make your move on the spot that he's chilling back there in that corner, and you can move on that spot, or you can pull yourself far enough up in there to shoot. Go ahead and pull yourself up in there to shoot. After you shoot, don't try to pull him out on that same breath unless you have plenty of air left, because he's going to be kicking all kinds of dust up. So after that shoot, you need to come up, unless you're free shafting, which you can bring your gun up and reload and watch the other side of the rock to see if he's going to leave, because you need to shoot and then you need to back off and see what happens, because he's either going to be dying in that rock and you're going to have a chance to reload your gun, or you need to get ready to chase him to the next rock or wherever he's going to bounce out to. And that's why it's always to have a buddy with you up on top watching you. That way he can follow the fish if it jets. It's always good to dive with a buddy for lots of reasons, and that being one of them. If you go down and get hung up in that rock, maybe you get hung up on a piece of braid and there's a piece of hook on it, hook gets into you, and now you're tied up down there on the bottom. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of good divers. They get tied up in a 20-pound braided knot with a hook on it or some sort of a shrimp, and they drown. So it's always smart to have a $5 dive knife on you from the dive shop, because you're gonna lose one a day out here. falling out of your pocket. I know I do. And that's why I buy cheap dive knives, and then I lose them and give them to everybody. But I always have a dive knife, so if you get tangled up in some braid, you know. And when you're going down to the rock, dive down. First of all, don't kick down to a grouper. Don't kick down to a rock. Pick your feet up out of the water and let the weight of your feet push you down into the hole. If you kick down to a fish, you spook your fish. What? I don't know. It's probably a black.
That fucking yacht over there.
Probably a black. Recognizing the grouper you're shooting is a big deal. Get the Fish Rules app, download it, and study it. You know, and know the fish that are in your area, and know what sizes you can shoot before you trip. And know that everything looks bigger underwater. Man, there's so much you need to know to come down here. That's the fun of it, though, coming down here and learning. So, that's the black grouper lesson. The other black grouper lesson is if they're in open water. In other words, they're hiding up behind a fan and some tall grass or something, and you're trying to ease up on them. They see you before you see them 100% of the time. So you're not going to sneak up on one. He's just trying to decide whether he's scared of you. Well, he's scared of you, but he's trying to decide whether he's going to run from you or whether he feel like he's hidden enough to stay there. Just like a deer, it freezes when it sees you, and then it either decides whether it wants to sit, squat down and hide, or it's going to bolt. And so what you want them to do is stay hidden. So I avoid swimming straight towards the fish, and I always avoid diving down to the fish and then swimming to it on the bottom. If you go down to the bottom with the fish and then swim to it, 100% of the time that thing's leaving. It's not going to sit there with you on his level. Now, that's why it's good to drift, because if you're just drifting over the reef like a piece of debris, you're less likely to spook them, and then you have a lot more opportunity to drop down on them before they get a lot of tension built up. And so it's best if you can get out in front of that grouper that you spotted and let the current pull you over, and then as the current pulls you over the top of that fish, put your feet up out of the water, keep your gun as far away from you as you can, use all the length of your arm and your gun to shoot. And I usually shoot one-handed, and I'm using my left hand to turn my body in the way that I need to. So a lot of times you'll see me out there doing like this underwater, and that's because I'm trying to use that twist motion or whatever to help me adjust my shot. So I'm not doing a lot of this. You'll never see me two-fisting the gun and looking down the barrel. I'm looking at the back of the gun and the front of the gun, and basically doing an instinct shot to where I'm just kind of pointing it in the direction of the fish and looking at my barrel like a recurve bow almost, where you just kind of know where the thing's going to hit. He's right there. Bruh. He's just right there in that hole. Right there, big black grouper. Mm-hmm. Yeah. John just smoked this one on the reef. He didn't get quite a pass through. So we had to go stick him a couple more times. You see John's shot right here? John smoked him, made a great shot, but he got him long ways. The flapper pulled out and we had to go fishing. But let's go the other way with it. Anyways.
Baby, don't touch. Thank God for the shark shield.
Whoa!
It's your fish, hold it up. Hey, you want me to kill that?
Woo! John's first flat.
Move your head. Alright, you want to talk a little more?
Because there was sharks all around and Uncle Jake was down underneath the rock.
How big is that fish, Trip? What?
Come down. Trip!
Trip, come take a picture with Trip next to it.
Come take a picture. Let's see if it's as tall as you. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go.
It's raining down right there, right?
30, was that 30?
30 to the inside of the 20
Bruh.
and a half.
That's a fish, dude.
Hell yeah.
That's a hell of a first grouper right there, bro.
Let it hold daddy hold it. There you go.
He was difficult.
Woo!
We dove on him for about 2 hours, probably 50 dives.
Oh my god.
But oh my God. Mama, you want grouper sandwiches?
That's awesome.
How do you kill that thing? I mean, it's not dead. It's not dead.
Hey, baby. One more picture with the brownies.
Alright. Oh, that's a poo towel. Oh God! That had Finn's poo on it. Jacob, just quit touching it.
I was laying around with shit on it, baby. Yeah. This is a good time.
John, you might want to get lower yet. Okay.
So, man, John just had to really work with that one. His first ever black grouper. He saw it right out the gate. He saw it.
First grouper I've seen, actually.
And it hid from him, and he couldn't find it again. And basically, we had to talk about how you hunt those black grouper. Hopefully, in the video, you can see. Basically, you have to lay the gun. Like, you have to peek your head in those holes and look. You like bury your head up in those holes and look all up in the cracks. And you have to lay the gun with the trigger way back here where your arm is, your fist is, and then lay it across your head and like kind of look with your gun. He was able to dive on it like 30 or 40 times, and eventually he got a shot. Talk about it.
So every time I went down on it, well, the first time I saw it, and I kind of spooked it, and it ran under the rock, and it's a giant rock, probably 20, 30 feet across, and little channels and all through it. So it got out of sight, and I came up and told him, and then he came down, and we got on it again. And I didn't see it for like the next probably 20 times I went down. And then finally he said, you can see its tail right here. So I went and looked at it, got my eyes on it again. And then I probably saw it, I don't know, 10 or 15 times on different dives after that, where I just didn't have a shot. And one time I kind of shot, I missed it. I kind of shot at it as it was going away from me, kind of quartering away from me. And it was a little too far, and I missed it. But he didn't leave the rock, so we let it settle down and pulled some chum. Threw some chum again, and then
he was diving down there, and like literally, there was a shark like coming. Like I thought you were gonna see the shark on your way down because he was like right underneath you, and y'all's heads almost touched. When you were looking at that rock, I was like, John! And that's when you jump up and you saw it like right there in your face.
Yeah.
But those sharks kept just harassing.
Yeah.
And then
three nurse sharks down there. One of them was pretty good size.
One of them was decent size. I mean, they're not really dangerous, but whenever you're dealing with, we threw a bunch of dead fish in and like been chumming, so we kind of got them excited. And they're just getting a little bit too close. But anyways, after he shot, they were really getting excited. They were up in the rock, they smelled the blood. They were
swimming up under the rock where we were trying to get to. And
so then I went and got the shark shield, and I was able to, because the fish was already injured. And so I put the shark shield on, put the brownie in the water.
Well, let me tell you about the shot. So when I went down and made the actual shot, he had dove on it he said he could have shot it several times. So I went down on it and looked all around and didn't see it. and then came back up, and he went down the same spot and said he saw it. So I took another breath and went down, and I finally saw it. And I had, you know, my head poked in right. I had the gun just leading my head just a little bit, and it was kind of turning broadside for me, just at the right spot, and it wasn't swimming off like it was every other time I saw it. So I shot it. Used my gun for it. I was probably like 2, maybe 3 feet from it when I shot it, the tip of my spear, and I guess there was a rock right on the other side of it, and it didn't go all the way through. So, and he tangled up the spear, so we didn't know that. We thought he was on the spear, like behind a rock or something, and we were pulling on the spear cable, and couldn't get the spear back. So that's when we got the brownie out. And
so he was over there watching the spear gun with the string on it, thinking we had him on a rope, and I come back over there with the brownie, thinking I might have to do work to try to get this fish out, and the fish is swimming on the side, on the other side of the rock, like, you know, just kind of flopping. And that's why I was like, John, get over here. And but of course, by the time John was over there with the spear gun, it was back underneath. So then I went down and we started working on him. I saw him laid up on the other side. He wasn't moving. He was just laid up there. The fish was dying. He was gonna die. So because he got a lot of penetration, it looked like. So the fish was really injured. So I shot him again, got him through the back, up, out, and through the head. Y'all saw that. And then I was able to go back down to the same spot. He didn't move much. He just kind of sat there. And I shot him again crossways. And hey, bro. Close the deal, man. He was relentless.
30 inches.
30-inch grouper, first black grouper. Nobody does that. But that doesn't happen. That's awesome.
Only Wild Man Warehouse.
Wild Man Warehouse.
One to get it.
Yeah. High five, John. His first black grouper. We're gonna have grouper sandwiches. It's easy to kill these things if you're willing to dive 50 times for one fish.
Yeah, it took us almost 4 hours.
We've been here for 4 hours fishing, catching this one. But that's what makes it fun. It's a hunt, you know. We're not here to slaughter all of them. We're here to kill, you know, one decent fish, enough to eat the rest of the trip. What a great day. So we're gonna cruise over to the sandbar, let the kids get wet, hang out, maybe even look for some treasure.
So relaxing.
It's so clutch at the sandbar.
John, you look like you got lip filler.
You do. Look at me.
Lip fillers. Has he got duck lips?
Hello.
Yes, you have duck lips.
Hello. Hello.
All right, let me try. You right on my back. Right on my back. On my back.